Pain is something we all know. It comes in different forms: loss, rejection, failure, betrayal, or the quiet ache of dreams that feel too far away. For one young man, pain was his constant companion. Every step of his life seemed marked by hardship. He faced struggles that would have broken most people. Yet somehow, instead of letting the pain destroy him, he learned to turn it into purpose. He discovered that within suffering lies strength, and within wounds lies wisdom. From a young age, he learned the harshness of life. His family lived with little, and he carried responsibilities too heavy for his years. Friends mocked his dreams, teachers doubted his abilities, and sometimes even the people closest to him failed to understand his heart. The pain of rejection cut deep. The weight of expectations was suffocating. But instead of letting it harden him, he chose to let it shape him. He thought, "If life tests me, I'll let it make me stronger." That decision was the seed of transformation. Each failure stung, each disappointment left a scar. But he refused to see scars as signs of weakness. To him, they were proof of survival, marks of resilience etched into his soul. They were reminders that he had endured storms and was still standing. Slowly, he began to shift his mindset. Pain was not punishment, it was preparation. Every obstacle became a lesson, every wound a teacher, every loss a hidden gift waiting to be understood. Every obstacle was teaching him patience. Every heartbreak was teaching him empathy. Every loss was teaching him gratitude. And though the lessons were hard, he realized they were molding him into someone unshakable. Where others crumbled, he learned to bend without breaking. Where others saw endings, he began to see beginnings. The young man discovered that pain was not his enemy. It was his silent mentor, guiding him toward a strength he never knew he carried within. There were nights when despair whispered loudly in his ears, nights when the silence felt unbearable, when loneliness pressed in, when tears became his only company. In those moments, he felt tempted to give up. He thought about surrendering, about laying down the weight he carried. But somehow a spark always remained. A whisper inside said, "If I can survive today, maybe tomorrow will be different." That tiny spark of hope became his lifeline, pulling him through the darkness. That spark grew into a flame. Day after day, it carried him forward. He realized that hope did not have to be loud or dramatic. Sometimes it was as small as getting up in the morning, as simple as taking one more step. And slowly, what once felt impossible began to feel achievable. Pain no longer defined him, it refined him. Each challenge that once threatened to crush him now became fuel, pushing him to grow beyond the limits others had placed on him. He started channeling his pain into action. Instead of dwelling on what he had lost, he used it to fuel his drive. He worked harder, studied longer, and trained his mind to focus on growth instead of grief. His pain became his teacher, sharpening his focus and toughening his resolve. Where others saw dead ends, he began to see doors waiting to be opened. And while others complained about the weight of their struggles, he carried his with quiet, steady determination. Because he understood something many did not. Struggle builds strength no comfort ever could. Muscles grow only through resistance, and character is forged only through trials. Without pain, there would be no endurance. Without loss, there would be no appreciation. Without rejection, there would be no resilience. The young man began to see that every hardship was not just something to survive, but something that was actively shaping the man he was destined to become. Over time, the transformation was undeniable. The same young man who was once dismissed and ridiculed began to stand tall. His resilience shone through every challenge. His quiet perseverance inspired those around him. People who once doubted him now came seeking his advice. They could not see that it was pain itself that had built his character, carved his endurance, and shaped his purpose. Without suffering, he would not have become the man he was meant to be. What made his story powerful was not that his pain disappeared, but that he learned to use it. He didn't wait for life to be perfect before moving forward. He didn't let sorrow paralyze him. Instead, he turned his wounds into wisdom and his scars into strength. His life became living proof that pain does not have to define you. It can refine you. And in refining, it can lead you to purpose greater than you ever imagined. Pain became not an end, but a beginning. To you who hear this story, maybe you are carrying pain right now. Maybe your heart feels heavy, your steps slow, your spirit weary. Perhaps the nights feel endless, and your strength feels gone. But know this, your pain is not meaningless. It can become the soil where resilience grows, the fire where courage is forged, the path that leads you to something greater. Do not waste your suffering. Transform it. Channel it. Let it remind you of your strength, not your weakness. Let it push you forward when everything else tells you to stop. Because pain, when embraced, becomes fuel. It becomes a compass pointing you toward your true self. The young man who turned his pain into purpose shows us that life's hardest moments can become its most powerful. Pain can crush you, or it can create you. The choice is yours. And while the journey may be long, every step you take through the fire makes you stronger, wiser, and more capable of building your future. So don't run from your pain. Don't hide from it. Walk through it with courage. Let it shape you, guide you, and prepare you. One day you will look back and realize that the very things that hurt you most were the same things that lifted you higher. Your scars will no longer be symbols of suffering but of survival, and your pain will no longer be chains. It will be the wings that carried you toward your purpose, the very force that helped you rise above. For in the end, pain is not just something to endure, it is something to transform. It is the fire that forges warriors, the storm that strengthens roots, the shadow that makes the light more precious. The young man's story is not only his, but ours. Because each of us carries pain, and each of us has the chance to decide what to do with it. We can let it break us, or we can let it build us. The choice is not easy, but it is always there. And perhaps that is the true gift of suffering. Not the hurt itself, but the transformation it makes possible. When we rise from the ashes of our struggles, we rise stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. Like the young man, we can learn to turn our pain into purpose, and in doing so, we become not just survivors, but builders of hope. This is the lesson his life whispers to us. Your pain is not the end of your story. It may, in fact, be the beginning.